March 1945, the final days of Nazi Germany.
As his world collapses around him, SS commander Heinrich Himmler gives a mysterious order. Destroy a 400-year-old castle before the Allies can capture it.
What is he trying to hide?
There were many things that needed to be kept secret here.
What was Heinrich Himmler up to behind the walls of Wewelsburg Castle?
Strange tales have refused to die.
The world will fall on its knees before the Third Reich.
Stories of black magic, superweapons, weird cults, and bizarre rituals.
Just the kind of stories we love. We're hunting for the truth behind some of history's most bizarre cases. The mysteries of World War II. I'm a historian. I search for clues in the records of the past.
What is this?
These are the 9 commandments to God.
I'm an urban explorer. I look for the real in what seems unreal, and follow my hunches wherever they lead me.
So if you could imagine hell holding a kind of garage sale, it might look something like this.
I've never seen anything like this.
It's about to get really, really weird.
As we uncover the truth about Heinrich Himmler's citadel of secrets.
When I was a kid, my friends and I used to play this game, and it was really weird. It was called Wolfenstein, and it took place in a bizarre world where Nazis had supernatural powers.
It destroyed the Soul civilization.
You had to fight your way through this really creepy old castle and shoot it out with Nazi zombies, stormtrooper robots. And here's the weirdest part. The castle belonged to Heinrich Himmler, the leader of the SS. And when you beat the game, he was very disappointed.
This American, he has ruined everything.
And the really interesting thing is, Heinrich Himmler really did have his own castle. But what was he doing there? Why would it inspire such weird fantasies? Sam and I need to check this out.
So what do we know about this place?
Well, on the 2nd of April 1945, this castle was taken by an American unit. They'd heard rumors there were SS soldiers here. When they arrived, all they found was smoldering ruins.
So what did they discover?
Well, that's when it gets strange. They found a room with a black sun emblazoned in the middle of a circular floor, and then beneath it in a crypt, a space for an eternal flame. It certainly looked like whoever was here was involved in some kind of ritual. What happened in 1945?
Well, on Good Friday, 1945, March the 30th, Himmler gave the order to a Waffen-SS officer named Heinz Macher to go to Wewelsburg and to blow the castle up.
Did Macher understand the mission?
No, he never heard about Wewelsburg before.
And Himmler seems to have been very secretive about it as well. He didn't tell him why he needed this place blown up. Is that right?
This is right, yeah. He carried just 10 tank mines with him, each 5 kilos of dynamite. And the only thing Himmler said to him was, put it in a tower. But Wewelsburg Castle had 3 towers.
Were those tank mines powerful enough to bring down those towers?
No, not at all, no. The most damage came from the fire that were set out afterwards.
So Wewelsburg survived Himmler's attempt to destroy it. But what was it about Wewelsburg Himmler didn't want the Allies to discover? In March 1945, Himmler would have known the game was up. He was the commander of the SS, architect of the final solution, a pure Nazi. As the man in charge of the Nazi Holocaust, he'd spent the last few years systematically murdering several million innocent people. And Hitler's 1,000-year Reich was on the verge of defeat. The Americans were closing in fast from the west, the Soviets from the east. Unless Himmler very quickly found a way to escape, he'd be on his way to the gallows. But what really seemed to be worrying him was destroying Wewelsburg Castle before the Americans could capture it. We need to find out more.
What an amazing place.
It is called Supreme Leaders Hall. It was for the highest SS leaders.
Kirsten told us that not long after the Nazis came to power in 1933, Himmler took possession of Wewelsburg and immediately began renovating it. One of the new decorations in the castle's north tower was the symbol the Americans found in 1945, known as the Black Sun. And rumor has it, the Americans found something else when they captured this place. Hundreds of what the Nazis called death's head rings, or honor rings.
Honor rings.
Yeah, these were special rings out of silver, and the SS generals, supreme leaders, they got one.
Is there any historical evidence that directly links the death's head ring to Himmler?
We have got the letter, the award certificate.
Right.
To give a translation, the ring should be a sign for loyalty to the Führer and even to die if the Führer said it.
Okay.
If the wearer leaves the SS or would die, the ring would come back to the castle, to the Reichsführer SS.
Who was then Himmler? It would come back here to Wewelsburg.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, if I wanted to get my hands on one of these rings to study it more in depth, where could I go?
That is difficult. You cannot buy them in Germany. It is forbidden.
Seems to me that Wewelsburg's got more enigmas than evidence. I'm going to dig into Nazi records to see what I can find out.
While Sam checks out the archives, I think I'll check out Wewelsburg after dark. It's funny how darkness can reveal more than light. I'm standing underneath the southwest tower of Wewelsburg Castle, and directly above me is Himmler's personal quarters. Down here, you can tell there's a massive safe. It's so big that I can stand in it. And a lot of people have come here before me, a lot of treasure hunters, it looks like. You can see that the hole in the wall behind me. Someone drilled through it, clearly thinking that it was hollow. When the Allied troops came to take the castle, they found this safe underneath and they opened it up to find the SS correspondence. And rumor has it, they found the death's head rings as well. I wonder if any of this is in that weird game I used to play. Wolfenstein. Yep, check it out. The Black Sun. Let's cruise the web and see what else comes up. Whoa. A comic book where some guy speaking a weird language turns the Black Sun into a magic portal to another dimension. And a crashed UFO reverse-engineered at Wewelsburg into a secret Nazi superfighter. And what's up with this? Nazis fleeing the Earth in spaceships after the war and hiding out on the dark side of the moon. Maybe the ring is all that's left of a Nazi dream that lives on in our fantasies.
The world will fall on its knees before the Third Reich.
To fathom that dream, we have to read the ring. Just before World War II, SS Commander Heinrich Himmler was planning something big at Wewelsburg Castle. But what? So far, our only clue is this ring Himmler gave to his SS commanders. Rumor has it that when the war ended, American soldiers found hundreds of these rings at Wewelsburg. In Germany, it's a crime to collect Nazi SS rings. But I found one in the UK at a place called Little Dean Jail.
So if you could imagine hell holding a kind of garage sale, it might look something like this place. And it's a display of some of the strangest things I've seen, things ranging from Ku Klux Klan hoods, Victorian-era sex toys, and other paraphernalia, pop culture figures, movie villains. Somewhere amongst all of this is this Nazi honor ring, and I'm gonna go take a look for it. So, this is it?
Yes, it's a very, very rare item. This ring actually belonged to Maximilian von Herf.
And who's von Herf?
Well, Maximilian von Herf was actually one of Himmler's right-hand men. The ring itself, it was actually confiscated by a member of the British Army when they actually captured von Herf. What you'll see is an inscription of von Herf's name and also an inscription of Himmler's signature. And as you can see around the diameter of the ring, you can see various runes.
Can I borrow this?
No.
Obviously, this ring is very valuable to you. But what I can do is find out what all of these other symbols are.
If you can give me some more knowledge on the ring, I'm going to trust you in terms of looking after this ring.
Cheers. So this is it. I've got the ring. And the real question is what these runes mean, what message this ring carries. I'm going to take this to an expert, and maybe we can unlock some of its mysteries.
While RJ's searching for the hidden meanings of SS rings, I'm searching for the hidden mind of Heinrich Himmler. In 1923, he's only 23 years old, a low-paid office worker in Munich. But that year, he joins a brand new political party called the National Socialists and quickly rises to leadership positions. In 1925, he joins a new paramilitary unit formed to protect the party's leader, Adolf Hitler. Officially named the Protection Squadron, in German Schutzstaffel, the new unit's name is soon shortened to SS. Himmler tells Hitler that he wants to transform the SS from bodyguards into a racially pure military elite. Hitler makes him SS commander.
Der glanzvolle Feiertag der Wiederauferstehung des deutschen Volkes, der Aufrichtung einer neuen großen Volksgemeinschaft, über alle Gebiete hinweg sich breitet.
In 1933, Hitler becomes German Chancellor, and Heinrich Himmler becomes one of the most powerful men in Germany. But what exactly was Himmler up to behind the walls of Wewelsburg Castle? I'm searching his personal papers for a clue, but so far I'm only finding mysteries.
What is this? We've got a list of German down one side, and then something in. What is this?
These are runes. Something like it is. Gott is AL Einheit.
All of these have got.
Yeah.
So it's something relating to an ancient religion written in a mysterious ancient language.
Yeah. These are the nine commandments to God.
It's clearly been initialed by Heinrich Himmler. He has a very distinctive mark. Who wrote this letter to Himmler?
It's from Karl Maria Willigut, an SS leader.
Another letter covered in SS markings.
This is a letter from Willigut, or Weistor, to Himmler, that he received the death head ring.
Now that's really interesting, because we've seen some of those rings at Wewelsburg Castle, and Himmler has bestowed one on Willigut. I think we'll have to explore Willigut a bit more.
So what is this that we're looking at?
So the runes that are used on this ring are based on the runes that were used in the in Viking Age Scandinavia. They were used historically as written symbols from about 700 to about 1050 AD. But what happened over the course of the late 19th and early 20th centuries was that occultists started reinterpreting these things as magic symbols or symbols of ancient powers. The seminal figure in that transformation of these symbols is a guy called Guido List. Guido List claimed that they were magical symbols that contained the ancient esoteric knowledge of the ancient Aryans.
So were these Aryans real? Today, scientists aren't sure. But back around 1900, Guido List and many others believed that Aryans were the ancestors of ancient German tribes who worshipped pagan gods and lived in harmony with nature. List claimed he had rediscovered long-lost Aryan wisdom by reading runes.
And he believed that they were about 10,000 years old. So it's a sort of fictitious history or prehistory that List created.
Where does the ring fit into all of this?
These images, I mean, you get them all over the place in Nazi iconography. This is the letter S. S is the first letter of the German word Sieg, which means victory. List claimed that the ancient Aryans, they would greet each other with Saal und Sieg, hail and victory. This sort of formula got picked up by his followers and became the Sieg Heil greeting of the Nazis.
Well, these symbols are used very deliberately. Who designed this?
An SS officer called Karl Maria Willigut.
Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Okay. Well, I've been to the archives. I found a document that's written half in German and the other half's written in runes. It seems to have been compiled and written by a guy called Karl Willigut.
You got Willigut as well?
Yeah.
So who was this guy Willigut? Bingo. Here's someone who should know.
So, Peter, who was Karl Willigut?
Karl Maria Willigut joined the Nazis in 1933, which is the exact time when the Nazis came to power in Germany. He claimed that he was the personal descendant of a long line of secret kings that supposedly extended way back into the ancient Germanic tribes thousands of years ago. He claimed that he was able to get in direct touch with the ancient Aryan wisdom and basically said to all Germans, you Germans are in direct contact, in the direct lineage of this great Aryan heritage that used to be bold and manly and lived in the forests and was in touch with nature.
Willigut claimed his mystical hotline to the past would reconnect Germans with the long-lost greatness of their ancient Aryan ancestors. And the Nazis preached that the German people's Aryan racial heritage would give them victory over allegedly inferior peoples like the Russians and so-called enemies like communists and Jews. Sounds crazy, but Germany had just lost World War I. In the 1920s and 30s, it was being ravaged by political chaos, and it was on the verge of economic collapse. Millions of Germans were humiliated, hungry, and out of work. Many were vulnerable to wacky racist mythologies like Karl Maria Willigut's, which told them they'd once been great and would be great again. And one of Willigut's biggest fans was Heinrich Himmler.
Some of Willigut's latter-day admirers describe him as having been the Rasputin of Himmler.
So whatever was going on at Wewelsburg, it was inspired and directed by a guy who claimed his DNA was hot-wired right into the souls of ancient Aryan kings. Now that's weird.
But does it tell us about what went on at Wewelsburg? Where else did the Nazis play out their racist fantasies? And what could we learn from those places?
In the 1930s, a crazy SS officer named Karl Maria Willigut was designing the Death's Head rings, said to have been found at Wewelsburg Castle. And he was feeding Heinrich Himmler mystical nonsense about reading magical runes and channeling ancient Nordic kings. And Himmler was eating it up. But does that prove that Wewelsburg was the center of a weird Nazi cult? We think the next clue could be here. This is Externsteine, 40 kilometers from Wewelsburg. Nature shaped these rocks, but it's hard to believe they weren't carved by gods.
As you can see, it's this massive rock formation. It's a little hard to tell how much of this was some sort of geological formation and how much of it was carved in, but you can tell this area has been carved in here into a staircase some time ago. I'm gonna try and get up to that extremely ornate iron bridge up there. There are signs of life all over this cave. Oh, and this, I would imagine this would be some sort of cooking area, maybe a fire pit, maybe a place to take water and a bath. You can see here, it's a bizarre goblin-like creature. It's near a doorway, so, I mean, if one were spiritual, perhaps meant to ward off spirits. Well, whatever Externsteine is, it's ancient. There's faces and shapes and ideograms everywhere. There's archaeological finds absolutely every corner of this place. It's no wonder that Himmler was completely sucked in by this place and wanted to use it to promote his own message.
And that message was, if you're German, come to Externsteine to reconnect with your ancient Aryan past.
That is a winter solstice. We can see a big fire in front of Externsteine and fire rings on the top, which filled the atmosphere with an intense heat.
Do you have any evidence that Himmler himself was here?
Yes, Himmler was here in September 1934. He was accompanied by a few SS members.
He looks brilliantly animated here. What was his personal interest in the site?
It suited his ideology to have a Germanic site that could really be experienced.
Himmler ordered Nazi archaeologists to find proof that Externsteine was an ancient Germanic site, dating from before the time of Christ. But archaeologist Ute Haller has confirmed it wasn't, and that Himmler's archaeologists knew this and simply lied about it.
So they didn't find what they were looking for, but they were so desperate to turn this place into some kind of early Germanic theme park that they just carried on going. They ignored the history.
Yes, they ignored the archaeological findings completely. And they even put up a sign at the entrance that said, "Respect the shrine of the ancestors."
Here's Himmler himself. So we've definitely got evidence that Himmler was there.
Okay.
Most interesting of all was this, an amazing photograph of the solstice with hundreds of SS soldiers and a huge burning inferno.
Nazi Burning Man.
So Externsteine was Himmler's phony Aryan shrine, his pathetic attempt to give Karl Maria Willigut's wacky theories a home. But the photos of what went on there just look like summer camp from hell. They don't explain the weird stuff on the internet. We need to find the link between what Himmler was actually up to and the fantasies he inspires today.
Nice thick fog is here.
What is this place? I've never seen anything like this.
So, this is the thing. Stätte.
Tingstätte is the latest stop in our quest to discover what really went on behind the walls of Heinrich Himmler's Wewelsburg castle and the real meaning of its mysterious symbol, known as the Black Sun.
The man we're about to meet will hopefully shed some light on that, if we can find him.
You've seen the stairs going off?
I can't even see the end of it.
Now, where is he?
It's gotta be him.
Yeah, there he is. What is this place? Why have you brought us out here?
Well, it's one of several places built in the early 1930s as part of a supposed Germanic movement called the Ting movement.
In ancient Germany, a Ting was a governing assembly that solved disputes and made political decisions. The Nazis planned to build Tingstättes all over Germany on sites they believed dated back to ancient times. This Heidelberg Tingstätte was one of the few actually built.
This was one of the places that should reenact those German gatherings. It was mainly propaganda events. Those are from the 1930s.
Look at that.
That's this right here. The scale is amazing.
It was pretty spectacular, obviously.
How long was it used for?
Not long. It was shot in 1938.
The Tingstätte project was shut down by Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's infamous minister of propaganda. Unlike Himmler, Goebbels wasn't the slightest bit nostalgic for the ancient German past.
On August 21st, 1935, he wrote, for example, and this is just one of many instances, that Rosenberg, Himmler, and Daré have to stop their cultic nonsense.
More important was what Adolf Hitler thought. The Führer backed Goebbels' anti-cult crusade 100%. So did many in the SS. Germany was about to go to war. Himmler's mythological play acting had to stop, and his wacky guru, Karl Maria Willigut, who claimed to have conversations with ancient Aryan kings, had to go. In 1938, Willigut's enemies found out that he actually was crazy and had spent 3 years in a mental hospital. Himmler's Rasputin was out of a job.
Actually, I have this document here. It is by SS Gruppenführer Wolf, who says that Weistor, interestingly his pseudonym, has to leave the SS because of his age and for health reasons.
Do you believe that?
No, definitely not. He came up with rune symbolism and the likes, and this is something that many individuals within the SS strongly disliked.
Himmler can't defy the Führer. So in 1939, he ends his public relationship with Willis, while quietly paying his rent. So the aging, chain-smoking alcoholic who'd once been his spiritual mentor would have a place to live. But were the two of them doing anything secret behind Wewelsburg's closed doors?
I was drawn to this subject, honestly, because of these crazy Nazi stories that have come out. There's this mythology. I mean, I've played video games where I fought against Nazi occult. I've heard stories of UFOs. I mean, I'm talking Area 51 type of stories. And yet, all of our search here hasn't really found any evidence that connects that to the mythology. Who was spreading these stories?
It was a group around a man called Wilhelm Landig, a former SS member, low rank, who gathered some friends around him.
So, according to Julian, what really gave birth to Nazi occult fantasies was Nazi Germany's defeat. After the war, a few Germans with very vivid imaginations refused to admit that the invincible Aryan race had been annihilated by inferior peoples, by Americans, by Britons, and, worst of all, by Russians.
They elaborated from the 1950s on their system and spread it especially in the 70s and 80s.
Sounds like they were fighting the war in their imagination.
They created a kind of hope for still active SS forces or even extraterrestrial aliens to intervene today or in the future and save the German people or the Aryans.
The symbol on the floor of Wewelsburg Castle, the one that we've been investigating, what does it mean then?
But actually, it was just identified as the Black Sun in the 1990s by those neo-Nazis.
This changes everything. To read the riddle of Wewelsburg's Nazi past, we'll have to go to where that past lives on in the present, the dark side of modern Germany. Our path to the truth about Wewelsburg Castle is suddenly taking us to the right. Actually, to the far right. We've just found out that Wewelsburg's famous Black Sun wasn't called a Black Sun until after the war, when neo-Nazis made it a symbol of their movement. So if we could find out what the Black Sun means to them, would that tell us more about Wewelsburg? We've come to Berlin to meet a man who helps former right-wing extremists return to normal life, and ask him why neo-Nazis worship the Black Sun.
So here it is, take a look.
Where's it come from?
It's from a former neo-Nazi.
Right.
No, this is just a decoration item. So it probably has been on the wall. They're using it with intention, and they're using it very carefully. Here, the reading as it goes, freedom will be taken, not given.
That's a sinister phrase, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a sinister phrase, and this is how they use the symbol. They put sinister phrases around the symbol.
But as Jan explained, neo-Nazis don't know what the Black Sun meant to Himmler. They've adopted it for a very practical reason. In today's Germany, if you appear in public with a swastika, you'll get in trouble with the police. But displaying the Black Sun isn't a crime. So neo-Nazis have made it their legal symbol of the good old days when Heinrich Himmler and his SS supermen kicked serious butt.
Do you think the mystery surrounding the symbol gives it a certain amount of power?
Of course.
We don't know what it was for, and therefore they've kind of latched onto it.
Of course. Since there, yeah, it's a rumor, and the rumor just opens room for imagination. And this is what happens here.
Now we're really off the map. We've got rumors, rings, runes, and racist rituals. And none of them solves the mystery of what Heinrich Himmler was up to at Wewelsburg.
But we do have one new clue. Jan told us he's heard that there's been new research into the meaning of the Black Sun. All I've got to do is find it. Bingo. Here it is. A doctoral dissertation on the meaning of Nazi symbols in the modern world, written by a Swedish expert on Nazism in today's popular culture. We track her down, and she agrees to meet us at Wewelsburg. Maybe she can tell us what this place was really all about.
The Wewelsburg was intended to be the spiritual center of the SS, governing the Germanic world.
That sounds pretty big.
They believed that the Germanic people were the top people, the ones destined to govern the rest of the world. This would basically have been the center of the world.
And with Heinrich Himmler as its spiritual leader, Himmler was obsessed with medieval German tales of King Arthur's knights and the quest for the Holy Grail. At his Wewelsburg Camelot, he assembled a brain trust of SS intellectuals and ordered them to imagine his future kingdom.
There were scholars working here. They were doing, of course, Germanic history. They were doing archaeology. They were doing, like, symbols. Himmler had put these people together here at the Wewelsburg in this kind of spiritual think tank, in this Himmler's Grail castle, and then anything could develop out of it.
It's a castle of the imagination.
And we don't have to imagine Himmler's imaginary world. We can see for ourselves exactly what he wanted Wewelsburg to be.
Oh, wow, okay. So, this was done in 1939.
This is one of two sketches commissioned by Himmler. Here you have the Wewelsburg and its guards, the SS, the armed guards, protecting the source of like purity, energy, or whatever. And then you have the soldiers, settlers. This could be interpreted as an image of what would come after the Nazis and the SS had won the war.
A vision of the future.
Yeah, a kind of vision of the future. There were building plans being made during the war of something that some people call an SS university, which consists of these extensive building plans. And as you can see, the whole village of Wewelsburg would basically have been eradicated and replaced by this enormous complex.
And this speck right here in the center, that's the castle.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's what we've been searching for. Himmler's mad plan to remake Wewelsburg Castle into the Nazi Mecca of the Aryan soul, where he and his SS Knights of the Holy Grail would read the runes, bestow death's head rings on one another, and lead the long-lost German people back to their true Aryan selves. And then Eva drops a bombshell.
When I was doing my PhD research, I talked to Dr. Frank.
Who's Dr. Frank?
Dr. Frank was one of the SS researchers here.
You spoke to him?
Yes, I did.
An actual SS officer who was stationed here?
Yes.
It's huge. An eyewitness account of life at wartime Wewelsburg from one of the SS guys who was actually there, writing Himmler's fantasy script for an Aryan paradise. A guy who can tell us what really went on inside Himmler's secret world. With the help of Eva Kingsepp, an expert on Nazi symbols in today's popular culture, we've tracked down Heinrich Himmler's plans for making Wewelsburg Castle into a weird SS version of Camelot. But just when we thought we'd got the whole story, Eva blows our minds by revealing that she's interviewed a former SS officer named Dr. Bernhard Frank, one of the Nazi scholars sent to Wewelsburg to design Himmler's Nordic paradise.
He was doing the folklore research here at the castle, and eventually he was appointed the head of the whole research unit.
So have we got some kind of testimony from the head of the research unit?
Yes, we do.
It's amazing.
And, I have some of them on recording, and if you like.
Yeah, we can actually hear this guy.
You
That's
can
amazing.
Hear what his thoughts about the building plans.
Das waren, diese großartigen Baupläne waren natürlich nichts anderes als Versuche, die Wehrpflicht zu entrinnen.
So he basically said that these huge building plans were nothing else than irresponsible people tried to avoid going to the military.
So they were just creating their own busy work.
The bigger the plans, the longer time they would need to spend here, far away from where the action was.
Dr. Frank told Eva that at wartime Wewelsburg, the real action was at lunchtime, when SS officers made fun of Karl Maria Willigut's wacky teachings and laughed at Himmler behind his back for believing them.
Did you ask him about the Black Sun?
Yes, of course. He got really, really upset and agitated because he said that there was no such thing as a Black Sun during the SS era. So he was fiercely opposing the idea of a cult around the Black Sun here at the Wewelsburg.
Did he say what this symbol was for?
Well, he said it's a nice Germanic symbol of the sun.
Nothing more than that?
Nothing more than that.
So even Himmler's own SS academics thought his plans for Wewelsburg were ridiculous. But that didn't make those plans any less sinister. If Germany had won the war, Wewelsburg could have become the center of a Nazi pseudo-religion cooked up from lunacy and lies, preaching hatred. Nothing like the peaceful Aryan paradise Himmler's artists depicted. But of course, Germany didn't win. Instead, by 1943, the Nazis were beginning to lose the war, and Hitler was throwing everything he had into the fight. He ordered that all non-essential construction projects be halted. Wewelsburg's Aryan makeover came to an end. Eva told us that, ironically, Himmler may never have laid eyes on Wewelsburg's Black Sun. As the war went on, he got busy with other projects. Until the Allies woke him from his dream.
In Lüneburg lies the body of the most hated man in Europe, Heinrich Himmler, chief of the Nazi secret police and the savage SS troops.
On May 23, 1945, 6 weeks after the Americans captured Wewelsburg, Heinrich Himmler, now a British prisoner of war, killed himself rather than be put on trial and executed as the hideous war criminal he was.
I will destroy all that stands in my way.
But in a way, Heinrich Himmler's never died. We keep him alive in our occult fantasies, where he's more powerful than even he could have imagined. Crazy Karl Maria Willigut's also become immortal in the pages of comic books. And remember those Nazis who escaped in UFOs to the dark side of the moon?
Hi, Hitler.
Well, if you believe Hollywood, they're on their way to attack the Earth in some pretty awesome spaceships. But don't expect them anytime soon.